I've been all about building an intentional wardrobe, leaning into pieces that are timeless, comfortable, and look put together. When I have all my go-to staples, it just makes getting dressed that much simpler. And you all know that Quince is my absolute favorite place to get fabrics that feel elevated and fits that are flattering. My latest obsession is their short sleeve cashmere shirts. I bought two in different colors, a pale pink and yellow. Both go so well with the pants I also have from Quince, and I've been wearing this combo everywhere. Their cashmere is so soft, and I can't get over the price. Everything at Quince is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Refresh your every day with luxury you'll actually use. Head to quince.com/dateable for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/dateable for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dateable. In my 20s, I treated sex like a milestone I had to time perfectly. Not too soon, not too late, like there was some formula that would guarantee a relationship. But what I didn't realize is it was never about the timing. It's about what I thought sex would secure afterwards. Because no one talks about that part. Sleeping with someone doesn't create clarity, it amplifies what was already there. And the better question is, are you ready for the truth it reveals? When to sleep with someone, that's what we're digging into today. I'm Julie.
And I'm Yue, and we're sharing what we learned the hard way so you don't have to, especially around, am I sleeping with them too soon?
Yes.
Should I sleep with them? Is this going to put me in a different bucket? I used to worry about that a lot. Is that going to put me in the fling situationship bucket if I sleep with them too soon? But then also, again, what's too soon?
You know, I was kind of surprised when we did a live show. This was in 2019 before COVID completely derailed live shows for a bit. We did our first live show. There was supposed to be a whole little series, and we had someone ask a question in the audience. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I swear this also happened at one of our book events recently.
I think it did.
Too.
Yes.
So it's, I guess,
it did, because we mentioned the 2019 event.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So ignore all that. Even as of last year, someone asked this question. I was going to say 2019, but last year is, should I sleep with them after 3 dates? Should I wait? When is the optimal time? And I think you and I were both like kind of surprised that this was still like in the dating zeitgeist and language. And this was something that we were kind of fixated on. And I get it because we've been told for so long what you just said, like if I do it too soon, I'm just going to ruin it. And I really do think that it's less about that and like what I was saying earlier, the truth that comes out from sleeping with someone.
It's never the act. It's how you act afterwards. I think about that because I know in my 20s, I would get super weird after sleeping with someone because I'd be all in my head. It's like, then I start questioning myself and all these insecurities come out. And then I'm checking my phone for their texts. And now I'm thinking, okay, they've just kind of slept with me and then now ditched me. And now I feel like I've been used. All this stuff spirals in my mind, which then contributes to how I show up. So then I get very rules-based, or I start playing games over text, or I get really cold or standoffish because I don't want to seem too thirsty after I've slept with someone.
Interesting. So you were almost like anticipating that you would like go into that fling bucket.
You know, as soon as I make the decision I'm going to sleep with someone, it's already preempted. Like I've already put myself there. Regardless of how they view me, I think it's from all those years of watching these movies and TV shows and all this advice around don't sleep with them too soon. You're going to be not taken seriously. It gets in your head, and even you could be the most confident, self-assured person, but there's no one out there that can say they haven't been influenced by some of this media, these thoughts that have been put in our minds. And I thought I was kind of over it, but in those vulnerable moments, I get under it.
Interesting. I think like for me, I definitely relate to that. Like I'm not saying I don't. I had like bits of that. But what it did for me even more than that was it got me really attached. So I was less like about like, oh my God, am I now the fling? But I like started to view this person way more seriously than it was because the hormones released and all of that. I started to think like I had a future with this person, not because like we had conversations or we had anything that indicated that. Like even with people that we literally did not go on dates, I started to be like, could this be the one? Could this be the person? And I think if I gave more room between hooking up, I would have been able to more like objectively look at the situation and I wouldn't have been clouded as much. And I think that's the advice that I would give to my former self. I don't think there's something like inherently wrong with having sex early. Like if you're both on the same page and you're feeling good about things and you're feeling connected, like go for it. One of my best friends, like she and her husband hooked up on the very first date and they weren't like people that were like sleeping with everyone, but they just felt it and they are still married today. So I am not like for a set time, but I do think it changes the connection and the way you're showing up. So for me, I realized a lot of times I wasn't at that place. And when I slept with them, I became like way ahead of myself. Like my dreamer tendencies went into overdrive.
Yeah. I watched this comedian, Leslie Liao, who I love, and she was doing this bit about how is it that many of us are okay with sleeping with someone before we even do our nighttime routine with someone. And the way she described it was like, I would be so quick to like having sex with someone. But then if I'm doing a sleepover and I'm like removing my makeup, I'm feeling so vulnerable in that moment.
Right.
And I wouldn't jump into doing that. And I think that is how it has played out for me in my 20s, especially, was like, I didn't know where to put my vulnerability. I didn't know where and when to show vulnerability. And knowing myself now and seeing myself back then, I was very vulnerable after sex. But I kept telling myself, what was the thing in Sex and the City? Have sex like a man? Yeah. Like, you can do it. Just have sex like a man. Just treat sex like sex. Just treat it like nothing. That's just not me. And I have to really come to terms with that. That's maybe it is for other people, but I'm not capable of being that person.
I'm wondering, like, from what you said earlier about, like, then I'd put up kind of this wall of, like, now I'm the fling, now I'm, like, in that bucket. I almost wonder if it was, like, a little self-protection from that vulnerability.
For sure.
Yeah, that it's like, oh, I'll get ahead of it. I'll make it, like, so they can't, like, put me in that bucket. I'll put myself in that bucket.
That just shows our maverick versus dreamer sides so clearly. If you've taken our dating archetype quiz and if you identify with a maverick or a dreamer, you can see how these two have manifested, right? I'm the put up the shield, put up a front, start playing games, start running away before they tell you you're the fling. And Julie, you're like, now I'm more attached.
Yeah.
Now there's a story. Now this person who didn't even have a last name now has like Now I have their last name. You're like, now we're married. It is, but there's no right or wrong to either one of these. It's just you have to really know yourself to know how you're going to react.
I think the similarity with both of them is that the connection hadn't caught up to the intimacy with both of them, right?
Yes.
We're both, it's the same situation, but just a different reaction to it. Yes. And I think that was something for me, like with my current husband, like I waited a bit longer than I had before. And some of that was because I was like coming off of a past relationship. I didn't necessarily feel my best in COVID times. And I had like, I don't know, I wanted to like take it slower. Wasn't like years, but it was like slower than maybe I had in the past. And I think what it did though was the connection was at like clearly we're not like so connected if we'd been dating for a month or so, but it's like we still had a bond that felt like more, I don't know, like less, like more firm than in the past when I had just like, I don't know, gone on a couple dates or like, even had a one night stand.
Well, it's safety. It's psychological and sometimes physical safety. And we mistaken sex a lot of times for finding someone you're safe with so you can be this exposed with. But then afterwards, when you realize the connection wasn't there, you feel less safe. And now you almost feel violated. Like I let this person into my personal space and I didn't even know them, or I didn't even feel that safe with them. And that's the balance that we all have to strike, is like, do I feel intimately safe with this person yet? And I would argue a lot of us in modern dating don't know what intimacy is.
No.
We don't work on intimacy, and we just go off the butterflies and the alcohol and the high that we feel from these dates.
It's so interesting to think about sex and dating. I kind of wish I could like transport myself to like a Gen Z and just like do it different. But because like thinking about it, like hookup culture isn't as prominent. Drinking's not as prominent. It's kind of a different environment than we were in. But I want to go into that more because I think there is stuff to unpack. But before we do, let's take a minute to hear from our sponsors.
If there's one thing I'm prioritizing right now, it's sleep. Because when my sleep is off, everything's off. My mood, my energy, how I show up in my relationships. So this is where Avocado Green Mattress has sleep all figured out. Their certified organic mattresses are specifically designed to relieve pressure points, support your body the way it needs, and help you actually get the deep, restorative sleep you've been missing. Every mattress is made with thoughtfully sourced materials and built with real care, so you can get incredible sleep night after night. Now, when I invest in something I use every single day, I want it to be made with real care, not just mass-produced. Avocado Green Mattress is exactly that. Supportive, comfortable, and thoughtfully crafted. It's a long-term investment that actually feels like one. Avocado products are made, not manufactured, and thoughtfully crafted with real materials to deliver lasting comfort and support. Go to avocadogreenmattress.com/dateable to check out their mattress and furniture sale. That's avocadogreenmattress.com/DATEABLE. avocadogreenmattress.com/dateable. Your home is more than just furniture. It's an extension of who you are, and the details matter more than you think. Like a rug. The right rug can completely transform how a space feels. And that's why I'm obsessed with my Ruggable. I went with this warm, neutral, boho-inspired design for my living room with earthy tones and a fun pattern, and it instantly made the whole space feel more intentional. Like, someone put some thought into this. And what sealed the deal for me is that it's completely machine washable. Like, my dog Mojo does not care about interior design, and neither does Red Wine, apparently. So I've thrown it in the wash, and it comes out looking brand new every time. It's built for real life. Refresh your home at ruggable.com. Get 10% off your first order site-wide with promo code DATEABLE at ruggable.com. That's ruggable.com and use the code DATEABLE at checkout.
For all my fantasy romance lovers, there is a book for you to check out called Reign of Shadows and Endings by Melissa K. Rorick. It was an instant New York Times bestseller and started as a huge indie book talk hit. So if you've seen people raving online, this is the book. If you love dark romantasy, this one delivers. It's got fae, dragons, gods, shifters, vampires, basically everything you want, plus a really unique twist with modern technology woven into the fantasy world. It truly felt like you were being transported into a new world as I was reading this, which, to be honest, was the relief I needed for the crazy world we're living in. What I really liked too was that this series emphasizes mental health as the female main character is battling depression and anxiety, which ends up being a major plot point for the book. It's on sale now, so if you've been looking for your next fantasy binge, this is it. You can find Reign of Shadows and Endings by Melissa K. Rorick wherever books are sold in print and ebook. Yeah, I think the culture you're in plays a massive role in the fact that that was like something, it was almost like in our era, it was like praised. I think like you were saying, the Sex in the City, like have sex like men, like we were coming into that wave of feminism. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of friends, I feel like it wasn't really for me, maybe my dreamer tendencies, but maybe energizers I could see this with, or I don't know, just varying levels of, you know, what you were looking for with validation and all of that. Like, I had a lot of friends that kind of put this weight on, like, almost like a victory of like all these people I slept with, because it like meant like I'm desirable and I am like, you know, sexy or whatever. And I think that some of that was healthy. Like, I think it can increase your confidence and make you feel like, you know, more sexual and all of that, not a bad thing. But I do think if it's underlying that you're like trying to prove something, or like you don't believe that, but by sleeping with people, I'm going to validate myself and that I am sexual and desirable, then I think there is something that's unhealthy about that, like using sex as validation. And we talk about this in our book. Like, there is a point of like, we have to call this out because this is something that many people went to. And I think with anything, it's like thinking about like, why am I doing this? Am I doing this to connect to someone? Am I doing this to feel better about myself? Am I doing this to prove something? That's like really where the work lies.
And oftentimes we lose ourselves in sex. We lose our needs and our purpose and our intentions because we feel like we're fulfilling some sort of mission or goal. And a lot of times, I would even argue that it's these fabricated gender roles that we think we have to overcome. So like what you just said, we feel like women were coming to the height of feminism and said, well, I'm going to fuck like a man. And then men would argue, well, we just treat sex like sex. We don't get emotionally attached. But as what we've seen on our show, like with Paul Eastwick, he said, men and women, the way we view sex is actually not that different. It's how we're socialized to be different. But end of the day, all we want is intimacy. It's not the sex. And it's not like men can sleep with a bunch of people and feel nothing. And it's not like women get more attached after sex than a man would. It's just how we've been conditioned in society. So then in what you were saying, Julie, we lose ourselves because we feel like, well, I don't want to play up my gender role, or I want to lean more into my gender role. But we forget to ask the question, what do I want? And what do I get out of this exchange? We forget ourselves.
Yeah. And I think, like, speaking of Paul Eastwick, because we had such a great conversation with him, and people should go back to the episode that we did recently with him about just all the myths and lies we've been sold about attraction and connection and intimacy. And I think one of them, he actually did a study around like people that, you know, had sex early on and went on to be in a relationship and went and didn't. And I think his finding was it was really about the intimacy that was built before. Like, would you go to the farmer's market with this person? So it was less about like, I had sex and then it turned them off. It was more of like, to me, our relationship wasn't there, and maybe to you it was. And there was a disconnect in that regard. So I think, again, it's sex is the revealer. I think when you look at it that way, you might get the answer faster, but also the answer might come, like, if the intimacy hasn't been built. Like, if you had waited a little, maybe both of you would have been on the same page more going into it, or you would have already filtered people out that you weren't, like, connected to.
And the intimacy we thought we were building in our 20s, at least, we used alcohol as a crutch. Definitely. I would always think I was way more intimately connected to someone than I actually was when I was sober. So that you have all that lead time with alcohol, thinking, oh my gosh, we have this connection, we're getting intimate, and you have sex, you sober up. This is why the morning after is always very sobering in so many ways. And then you wake up and you replay back the night or the previous dates, and it's so blatantly clear to you that there really was no intimacy or connection.
I mean, thinking about the last time I dated when I met my husband, like, but not even just dates with him, but like other people in that time, it was so different than when I dated like in my 20s and 30s. And part of it was COVID. It was a weird time, but also I was not drinking as much. At all. Like, it was like very, like, there were a lot of park dates that were pretty sober, or you had like a glass of wine. It was not the extent of some of the situations that led to sleeping with someone a lot earlier.
Yes.
Like there were times that I was like blackout drunk on dates, and I'm like thinking back to it. I'm like, first of all, putting myself in so much danger because like who knows the situation, but also again, like the intimacy is coming from something that is artificial. Like that's not true intimacy.
And I don't know if you did this, but I remember doing this with some of my friends. We would pregame before dates. Like I would drink at home before going on dates.
I don't think I did that, but that's next level.
I am all revved up by the time I get to the date. I've already made the decision that I'm intimately connected to this person before even showing up.
I will say though, okay, for the positives, I don't want to say like sound like we're like nuns.
Yeah, no drinking.
Like no sex, no drinking. I think, okay, I was like, actually, there's this game. It's like intimacy cards. I forget the exact name of it, but it's like this little deck and it's like a red box. I don't know. Anyways, not a sponsor. I don't know their name. But there's this game that my partner and I play sometimes. We hadn't played it in a long time. You basically like pull a card and you kind of like reveal something. And we were like the other night, we're like, oh, let's play this intimacy game. And one of them was like, what did your early sexual experiences teach you? And I actually was like, I think I became a lot more like confident and comfortable. And I mean, some of it was like I had like there were good partners in there. Like it wasn't all like terrible people. I think everyone's experiences are different. Clearly, if you've been with assholes or people that like don't call you the next day or body shame or anything like that, might have wildly different experiences. But I think overall, I'd say clearly there were a couple in there that weren't positive experiences, but like net, they were positive in the regard that I felt in the moment, at least, like cared for and, you know, in sync and connection. Whether that was like real connection or not, no. But in the moment, I at least felt it. And I think that was good because it was at least a stepping stone to get me to the real thing.
Yes. And also, it's like, this is how you're going to know how you going to feel. Like if you don't go do these things and like go have casual sex, then you won't know how you will react to it. So it is the only way to find out.
Yeah. I guess if you were to leave with one takeaway, I mean, I think for me, it's like it depends what you're looking for. If you're looking to just explore, have sex, get to know other people, get to know yourself, your body, all that, that's different than if you're like looking for like a long-term committed partnership. I think if you're looking for a long-term committed partnership, waiting to a place where you feel like the intimacy levels are matching, that you've formed intimacy outside of the bedroom, that you can at least now go in because you know it's going to cloud your vision a little. Like ideally you've been able to evaluate, is this someone that could be a good partner for me before sex is in the mix? And then it just adds to the connection. Don't have to wait months and months. We're not saying that, but like a little breathing room to be like, is this someone that, you know, could be more with? And like for me, for instance, we didn't wait. It was like probably like a month in, but it felt longer because we also had multiple dates within the week. If you're seeing someone once a week, then a month isn't that long. But if you're seeing someone like, you know, 2 to 3 times a week, you've built more with them.
Right. And like, how do you build up the intimacy where this feels like the natural next step? And how do you not build it for too long where you feel deprived yourself?
Right.
I've definitely had friends who are like, I've been sleeping with people too soon, so I'm going to wait 3 months for the next one, you know, before I do something. And then they're going crazy because now they're at that point of intimacy where they're ready, but then they're like, no, I made this rule for myself. So don't sacrifice your own needs and deprive yourself. But this is also, guys, it's a conversation with your partner. Yeah. Yes. I actually think it's okay to be like, hey, when do you think we'd be ready to take this to the next level? And why should that decision be made in silo where one day you're drinking at home going, I'm going to fuck this person tonight? That's how I used to do it. I'm like, I'm ready. They have no idea.
I mean, I totally... like this time around had that conversation. I had never before in my life had that conversation. At 37 when I met my partner.
Right?
It's the first
Isn't
time
that
I
wild?
ever had that conversation. And first of all, it showed that one, I could communicate my needs. 2, they can respect your needs. They're not like pressuring you or doing anything weird. And 3rd, it sets you both up. Like you're not being like dodging things and being weird and then having them wonder, like, am I not into you? Like I made it very clear, like, I'm into you. This has nothing to do with you. It's more of like where I'm coming from that I want to give it a little more time.
Right. Lead with you. It's always about, it comes back to you. What are you wanting? What are your desires and needs? And forget what society tells you or what anybody's putting into your mind right now. Lead with your own desires.
And I think the reality, too, is with all of this, like some of it is just uncertain and some of it's just a part of dating. Like you could sleep with someone after a second date. You could sleep with someone after 3 months and they could leave tomorrow. That's the reality. Like there's so many movies out there of like the girl that like withholds sex for like 3 months and then they like have this conquest and then they do it and then they're like out. And that's shit. We're not saying, hopefully you would get to the point that you've like weeded those people out. But again, we cannot control the other person. And also sometimes they're not a bad person if they bounce after. Something could have just made them realize this was not the connection for them. And it sucks that it was after something intimate, but better now than waiting even longer and then making that call again.
I definitely felt incompatible with someone after sleeping with them.
Yeah, and
you
that
could
happens.
Have all that lead up of intimacy and still in bed not be compatible, but then that gives you an answer too.
Yeah. Another question for another day of like, how many times do you give it a try until you make that call? But I do think it's another data point. Like I've learned up until now that we're compatible in these ways. Now I add sex to the mix. I either learned we're not or I'm willing to try further or it's great.
Curious.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad we went there. This is a good one. This is a lot of lessons for this one.
But all you young kids not having sex, can we just do a little PSA? Like, go have sex. I mean, don't have irresponsible sex, but sex is part of our human connection. And it is the only thing that sets romantic love apart from platonic love. So it is a privilege for you all to exercise. And when you're young and your hormones are raging, it is like the best time.
I'm really glad you said that because I feel like even though we do this podcast, even though we're so open, I still am like this topic. It's always like, there's so much stigma with it. And the reality is that yes, hormones are involved. Yes, you don't want to put yourself in dangerous situations, but also like we were saying, some of fond memories and feeling so connected to someone came from these experiences. So I don't think the solution is not to have the experience at all.
Correct. Yeah. Go have sex.
Just be realistic of what it means. That's what we're saying.
But just go do it. You all are not doing enough. Just go do it.
That's true. We've swung too far. Our generation was like hookup culture, and now this one is like none. Zero.
You guys are lay down and sleep culture.
Okay. Well, also go check out our book, How to Be Dateable. There's a whole section about this in there too, if you want to go deeper. So yeah, go get it wherever books are sold. And there's a massive sale on Amazon. So if you're okay supporting Amazon, go there. If not, bookstores.
Wherever you get your books. All right. Well, see you all next week.
Bye.